Ready, Bob?
No, but I'll do anytime you want.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. If you'd stand and join me in pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this meeting is our special meeting, a trustee interview. Fill in the vacant seat. Mr. Erb resigned, as we all know. The term ends in January of 2020, and the election for that seat will be in November 2019. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, first off, we need to disclose any letters that we received on candidates. I talked to David from the ISBA, and so I did download some of these. In the meantime, this afternoon, I was forwarding them to Heather. We did receive a letter of concern from a district employee. The letters for Mike Kimball, Lori Staples sent for Kelly Pollard, Shannon Anderson, Lori Staples, Christy Walker, Megan Walker for Corey Walker, Ross Walker, Megan Walker, Travis Whitmore, Josh Schwant, Leah Sisk, Kara Hugo, Marcus Beagley, Gus Porter, and Haas White. Letters for Terry Jones, Dennis Weaver for Joy Weaver, Barbara Lang, Shanti Parker, Dale and Sue Myers, Patricia Malloy, Keith Bundy, Dale and Sue Myers, Michael McCallum, Shannon Miller, Alan Jacobus, Carrie Allred, Peggy Laree, Beverly Martin, Susan Jacobus, Susan Metcalf, Edith Jones, Misty Goff, Sherry Brotherson, Andrea Wallace, Doug Strunk, Ed Botkin, John Buck, and Krista Coles.
Were those for somebody or just?
Those were for Terry Jones.
Okay.
And the first ones that I read off were for Mike, and I will hand this list to Heather so
Okay.
you can verify that I sent majority of these up.
Terry's, yes. I don't believe I got very many of Mike's. I also received a letter in the district office from Tom Carlson for Mike Kimball,
Okay,
and that was on board book.
okay. So any letters that we have, we need to send them on to Heather.
I was sending my list over.
Okay.
So we can start it.
Yeah, I only had one sent directly to me, which I forwarded to Heather here.
Got it. Thank you.
And the rest should have been covered as a group message.
But Heather.
Yeah, everything I got was
No,
sent
Heather
to
said
us as
she
a
got
group,
mine.
so.
Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'm a little concerned. I think the letters are a good barometer of metric maybe of interest, but I do think those who haven't sent in letters should understand that they're not disqualified because they don't
Correct.
have them. We didn't ask for them. So I think that needs to be understood.
Right. And also I contacted Heather today and thought maybe, because they're coming in very quickly, that maybe we need to have a cutoff date for the letters of recommendation instead of at half an hour to an hour before. Just a thought.
Well, I since we've never gotten letters of recommendations before, I think it surprised us.
So it's just that every time my phone would beep, I'd have to
Yeah.
send it over to
And I don't
Heather.
have them all uploaded, and I wanted to have them all uploaded, and I don't have them yet.
Madam Chair,
Probably should put, but we just,
yeah, before we get started with the questions, I'd like to ask the candidates, was it personally recommended that all of you that you have letters of recommendation submitted? And was it a requirement?
No.
Okay. And then I just want to speak to the fact with the last round when I was selected, one candidate out of 8 had letters submitted, which that individual was not chosen, and then it sparked bunch of controversy, which led into a recall effort. So I just want to point that out for context to piggyback off of Trustees Hamilton's comments. If we as a district or a board want to start making letters of recommendation a requirement, then that's something we should do, or encourage letters of recommendation. Because as it sits here, 2 of the 4 had letters of recommendation, the other 2 didn't. So me personally speaking, I can't weigh any sort of bias in my choice. It all boils down to this interview. Otherwise, it's not fair for the 2 individuals who did not have letters submitted on their behalf.
Okay, also, we need to disclose any relationships. So relationships with board members to candidates and candidates with board members. So we can start first. I know Ronnie Weeks. You're a few years younger than I am.
Couple.
I know your mom at the, my dad nicknamed her Janis Joplin. So, but other than that, you're around my brother's age. And I know you're from Lisa.
Yep.
Mike Kimball, I know your mom works here. And I know you have kids and you work construction.
You got it.
Okay, Nikki Mitz, from Emmett, and I know your daughter didn't have a science book and now she does to do her homework.
Also, I have 2 in-laws at the bus shop, so I don't know if that is
Aaron and Heidi, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Excuse me, what'd you say?
Aaron and Heidi Mitz are my in-laws.
They work at the bus barn.
They were-
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Uh,
Fine. I just didn't catch it on.
Madam Chair, were we to disclose them?
So then it'd be your turn to,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
it's fine.
Didn't know if I
It's
missed
fine,
that.
no. And then Terry Jones, I know, I went to high school with Terry's daughter, Kristen. And I know has a dairy, Terry from the dairy, and he's been coming to the facility committee meetings. So now it's Terry's and you all's turn to,
Madam Chairman, do you want each of us to disclose
yes.
first?
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Well, yeah, he's hauled some cattle for me. Mike, I've met, on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
I really I made acquaintance with Nicole on the way in. But other than that, I've never spoken to her. And Terry, I've spoken to many times over the years. We've been on boards together. He lives a couple miles away.
Okay, other than my relationships at the board, I don't think I know anyone outside the board.
Well, okay, yeah.
And I was raised in Emmett, but I was gone for a long time.
You get the gold star. I don't know Ronnie personally. I assume you're a junior. Or Ronnie Jr.? Is
No.
your dad or
Wayne's my dad.
Wayne? Well,
Yeah, we actually went to school together, but you were enough older than me.
yeah. I remember Tom.
Yeah.
I think's a cousin.
Yeah.
And one of your relatives used to haul cattle for my family.
That was my dad.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then Mike and I have recently gotten acquainted through all the school business, and I'm familiar with the family name, of course. And then Nikki, I don't know personally, but I do know your in-laws, and you're married to Ron. Is that right? So I know him. And then Terry, I was in the Rotary for 2 or 3 years, so that's my acquaintance with him because he is an active Rotarian still to this day, I believe. Okay.
Okay, so now you candidates, you can say something about the board members.
Okay, so we'll say the same things. So I went to school with Chairman Harris, and she had a brother that was a couple years younger than me, was kind of in between each other. As far as Vice Chair Hamilton, I've known you through business, through farming. I don't know Chair Teeter. I don't know that we've ever met.
No, I don't think so.
And I actually know Trustee Jenkins' parents better than probably Mr. Jenkins, but we were in school together too. We just enough. I think he was a senior when I was a freshman or some such, or sophomore or something like that. So opposite ends of the spectrum. So
You strike a resemblance. So I'm not going to discredit that.
so
Okay, so obviously, Chairman Harris, I grew up with, I believe, your cousins, know your uncle very well, Mike Harris, got friends of that. Trustee Hamilton, just spoken on the phone a few times, exchanged emails with Trustee Teeter, and then as Trustee Jenkins said, we've talked quite a few times on the phone about different things and
I don't personally know any of you outside of the school board. I recently started coming to meetings and learning about what goes on here.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I know you from the experiences I've had with the district. Bill, you and I have been neighbors for probably ever since I came to Idaho back in the 80s. Peter, we know each other from our activities here on the board, and of course, Mr. Jenkins, Rotary experience, and I had a sandwich or two in some place in town to see if they have your name on it.
Right.
Outside of that, that's it.
Okay. All right. In the sheet in front of you, there's a list of questions. So the way this is going to start is each trustee will begin with one of the questions. And we'll start with Ronnie, and everyone will have a chance to answer number one. And when we come back to number two, Mr. Hamilton will ask Mr. Kimball, and everyone will have a chance to answer number two, and so on and so forth. Everybody understand? Okay, we'll begin with Ronnie Weeks. Okay, briefly discuss your educational and professional background and reasons for your interest in serving as a trustee of the Emmett School District.
Okay. Well, to the board, I graduated from Emmett in 1995. I left here and went to Lewiston, attending Lewis Clark State College. I was there roughly for a year and a half, and I transferred to TVCC after that. I was studying business management. My reason for my transfer is I originally went there to play baseball and things didn't work out. And I come home, and while attending TVCC, I met my wife. And after meeting my wife, I started my own business, and I got through with school, so I was only there for 2 years. After that 2 years, I started my own business, which was hauling livestock with my dad. And in that time, it's been a better portion of 20 years now. I ended up acquiring all the business, not just that which I had started for myself. And I've been doing that ever since. And then about 15 years ago, I decided I wanted to get into ranching and farming. And I've been doing that for 15 years steady with great success. I run about 160 head of mother cows. I custom hay on top of running my own truck. I will make mention for all those who are here so it doesn't come up later. When the economy crashed, I was running 11 trucks in 11 Western states, and I was not able to hold on to that. I was able to pay all my bills off. I just sold everything and I went back to one truck, and I still run. What I do today is I run my own truck and I dispatch 5 others. And so I'm still running a business in that capacity. As far as my interest in serving as a trustee, I would really, really like to know more of what goes on here. I need to be more informed, and that is on me. I haven't attended the meetings as I should, and I need to change that, and that's my interest in being here. I'm scared for our community. I'm scared for the kids in our community, and I want the best for the children in our community. And I think we have later questions, so I'll just hold off with it there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we telling me? Are we we timing these?
So we usually,
Okay.
We can. Do you want us to?
It's up to you guys.
It's up to the board to decide if you'd like them timed or not.
I mean, we'll let them finish with this one and then we can time after this one if you'd like.
I don't care unless we get into
It's
trouble.
up to you guys.
did we do that last time?
We did.
I think it was after the same, at the same time.
At the same time.
Oh, yeah, so I think was it 3 minutes last time, I think it was?
Yeah,
But we'll let them continue this time and then, so that I'll get equal opportunity this
Okay.
time. And
okay.
then I'll get my trustee sheets out.
Mr. Kimball, number 1, please just briefly discuss your educational and professional background and reasons for your interest in serving as a trustee of the ESD.
All right, so I graduated from Emmett High School in 2003. From there, I went to Treasure Valley Community College for a couple years. I studied animal science. I wanted to be a vet. And while there, I met my wife through a blind date, and then transferred over to Boise State to not be a vet, to go into construction. Finished Boise State December of 2009. I worked for a short stint with the state of Idaho through the Idaho Transportation Department. Let me back up. My degree is in construction management. I have a bachelor's degree there and a minor in business. Then I went into the private industry, worked for local companies ever since. Done construction projects all over the United States, as far as Connecticut, Hawaii, North Dakota. Managed jobs that are $44+ million. Currently, I work for a company in Boise that's a small family-owned business. I'm a project manager / division manager for them. And the reasons for my interest in serving as a trustee is, number 1 is children getting the best education possible. And then also my number 1 reason for pushing to be a trustee was my construction background and knowledge. I believe I can bring a lot of value to the board and the community with my knowledge of construction and helping work towards the bond and levies as we go forward. Believe I can help bring some value and some light to costs and expertise in that area.
Okay, thank you. Nikki Metz.
Okay, so I actually never graduated high school, and I see that as a challenge that I want my children to overcome and graduate. I did get my GED when I was 16. I did take Stephen Senator College. I took a bachelor's in business administration. I passed some of the classes, and then I got sick, and they kicked me out. And they're like, well, you can come back if you write this big 10-page letter on how things are going to change. And I'm like, I had the flu for a week, and they refused to. Pledged there, and they're a non-accredited college. If you don't know that, it means everything that I took and paid for, I have to retake and repay for. So I decided to not do that and just continue working and supporting my child. I feel like right now I'm a local farmer here in Emmett. I'm still in the learning phase on that. I've been running the office for my husband's business. It's also construction. And I think I'm interested in broadening my knowledge in what our school systems are doing in efforts to help my kids become better at school and eventually graduate from high school and move on to college and become something professional. So I think I'm just kind of looking at this as a way to help myself and put some input in if I see something somewhere or ideas, brainstorm.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Howdy. I've had many opportunities in my life to not only educate myself, but be professional. I went to college, Cal Poly in California. I came out of there as a cheesemaker. My folks had a dairy and a milk plant, and it fit right in with the opportunities that my family made for me as a young man. I've since then gone on to continuing education at Utah State. I've had qualified for leadership Idaho Agriculture, which is a leadership program that's an intensive study and opportunity to learn some leadership skills and bring them to the agricultural community. I've been a Rotarian for over 30 years. That has given me a multitude of opportunities to learn communication skills. I've trained as a facilitator, worked with public image, committee development, those kinds of things that help promote Rotary in the community. My professional experience has been extensive. I've got close to 60 years of experience of sitting on boards. I sat on the board of directors for Dairy Gold, the Cooperative Creamery in Caldwell before it merged with Dairy Gold. I've been on the Farm Bureau Board of Directors at the state level. I've been on the Farm Bureau Board of Insurance at the state level. Many other small boards around the community, among the local Jim County Farm Bureau Board. All those have brought me a host of experience of decision-making possibilities to my portfolio. When you say reasons for interest in serving on this board, you have a mission statement that says the Emmett School District will prepare all students for success. I champion that statement. I think it's important. We have a lot of issues that are going on right now with the facilities, and I would like to be part of the solution in bringing in a harmonious conclusion to upgrading our facilities so that our children can achieve the mission statement.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll start with Mike Kimball and we'll start with Mr. Hamilton.
What do you believe is the most important focus for a school board, Mr. Kimball?
I think the most important thing is ensuring the best education possible for our children. Beyond that, I believe, earning the trust of the community and maintaining the trust of the community. And then third would be acting as a true representative of the voters of Jim County and representing them properly in the best means possible.
You want to just take
Yeah.
it? Okay. Nicole, what do you believe is the most important focus for the school board?
I think that legally and honestly, we need to take control over all the issues at hand. And so, you don't want to be up there if you're just going to fudge things. You have to look at the legalities and, use common sense. Is this going to work or not?
Mr. Jones, what do you believe is the most important focus for a school board?
I've been in this community for almost 40 years. What I see today is trust. We have to build trust. If we're going to pass levies and pass bond issues and upgrade facilities, we have to not only build that trust, but we also have to be transparent. I hear a lot of what I would call chatter in the community, and there's a lot of miscommunications out there. So I think we have to improve our ability to communicate with the community. I think we have to get out there individually and speak. I have done this with Rotary. I've given over 100 speeches in the last 18 months for Rotary. I'm very skilled in communications. And I think I can bring that to the table to help bridge the gap that we've got right today between the community and the school board and the district. I think that's, in my mind, where we stand is trust and transparency.
Mr. Weeks, same question. What do you believe is the most important focus for a school board?
Most important focus for our school board is the education of our children, first and foremost. Second will be complete transparency from all parties that are involved. No matter what seat you hold or what seat you don't hold. There's a lot of things that need to be changed in the community. We have some upgrades that need to be done. We'll get to that, I'm sure, in the next question. And I would like to be a part of that solution. I'm not a member of the community that is going to say because I pay higher taxes that it doesn't need to happen. Because it does. Therefore, I want to be a part of that, and I want to do it the right way. And these children need that to happen. And my children are getting old enough that they'll probably never reap the benefits of any of this. And I'm still sitting here. And I still feel that it needs to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll start with Nikki Mitz. On question 3, will be Bob.
Nikki, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges to the Emmett School District?
The opportunities would be to broaden your knowledge and experience and figure out what's going on, and clarify things for others. Not everybody understands what's going on with the school board. I think challenges in our district so far from the meetings I've been to, school structures, maintenance, children's grades. I went to a meeting last night at the middle school on how some of our kids are having a hard time, especially with math and reading, and they're struggling. So I think that's a challenge that needs addressed at some point. Making the levies and the bonds clear for the audience so that they can vote on them. See that as another challenge.
Okay, Mr. Jones, same question. What do you see as the opportunities and challenges in the Emmett School District?
Chairman, Mr. Teeter. The opportunities to me are success. Success in bringing our children to a point where when they graduate, they are ready to either step into the workplace or step into further education. So the challenges that we have are, as I said previously, we have to communicate with our community what our needs are, whether they are structural, whether they are in the classroom, with the staff. These needs are to be expressed at a time that we can come together to bring these conclusions to a vote. And I mean the vote on the levies, the vote on the bond, deciding what kind of presentation. I've been on the committee for the facilitating studies for now over a year. I've toured some pretty nice facilities that are in the outlying district. I'll have to say, Ridgeview, I was totally surprised at what I saw. I haven't been into a new school in some 30, 40 years. And what the number one thing that I brought back from that was personnel. They have a principal there that has a business background. He brought that philosophy to the school. He manages it through all the different levels of grades and courses so that he makes sure that the students understand what is expected in the workplace, whether that's college, whether that's continuing education, whether that's getting out on the farm and driving some of the sophisticated equipment we've got. I was extremely impressed, and I can't see no reason why we can't duplicate that here, and I want to be part of the solution. And I think that's what we need here.
Okay, Mr. Weeks, same question. What do you see as the opportunities and challenges in the school district?
Well, we have a huge opportunity in this community to become something more than a bedroom community. Right now, I believe that's all we are right at the moment. And I think it affects our children. I see that as an opportunity. And I believe that with going about it the right way, with infrastructure, it allows people to have pride in their community, allows the children to have pride in their community. That's what will bring in the people that will have pride in this community. That's the opportunity. As far as the challenge, we live in a poor community, realistically and overall. And so that is a serious challenge that we face for upgrades. That's why they need to be done calculating and through the right process and the right way. We can't afford to put ourselves in a situation such as Middleton or even maybe Ridgeview, where they're already looking at deficit that they might not be able to overcome. Valley View School District in general. There's a lot of thought that needs to go behind this. And there's going to have to be some tough choices. That's a serious challenge that this school board faces, along with our superintendent. And I think another challenge that we face is I still feel that we're looked at as a second-class community by a lot of people. And that is a challenge that we face as well. And that's also something that the last 20 years I've put forth a lot of effort in trying to help change. That's another serious challenge that we face, and I want to help change that and go about it the right way. Thank you.
Mr. Kimball, same question. What do you see as the opportunities and challenges in the Emmett School District?
So opportunities, the growing community, our schools are growing in size, and I think it gives us the chance while we're growing and stuff, gives us the opportunity to make changes to, equal great success and become a leader in education and still prove that the farm kids know how to play football and go at it. And give our children the best opportunity to, as we make changes and grow. I think our district's doing a great job in keeping going in the teaching our kids on the technological front, and making that ever-changing evolution as it's continually growing. I think that's a huge opportunity for our district. Capitalize on CTE programs. There's great opportunities out there. Spikes interest in children in their secondary education levels, and then it helps them go further on in their post-education. It kind of shows their interest in where they want to go, and then it kind of helps them go on. One thing that I believe is a huge opportunity, and it's utterly overlooked, is we have some excellent past alumni that have come out of Emmett School District. There's several classes that have multiple medical doctors out of them. We have past alumni that scored within the top percentage on the MCATs, nationally ranked. Several lawyers needing to get away from that evolution that we're just a dumb community or whatnot. Get rid of that shelter and let people know what we are, who we are. Challenges, I'm just as guilty as community involvement. I think our A lot of people in our community tend to hide and not get involved, and there's great opportunity for that. And that's a huge challenge. Earning community trust is a big thing. It's got to be redone. Obviously, passing bonds and levies and updating the schools as we needed. And obviously, with bonds and levies comes taxes, so we got to manage that responsibly to not raise taxes to a dangerous level.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry, moving on to question 4. What are the factors on which you will base your decisions as a school board member?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Trustee Jenkins. You know, in your vision statement, you say that the Emmett School District implements, innovates, and best educational practices utilizing cutting-edge technology and rigorous curriculum. I think in there lies the challenge. Do we have facilities to implement that statement? Do we have personnel to implement that statement? Do we put policies together at the board level to implement that statement? What are the factors that lead my thinking? As a Rotarian, we have what is called the 4-week test. The first sentence is it the truth? That will bring trust to our community. The second, is it fair to all concerned? Are the decisions we make fair to every patron of the community and every student in our schools? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Are we harmonizing our community through our decision-making process? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Those are the kind of factors to me that will help bring the harmony that our community is clamoring for at the moment. I think as a board of director, it's important to understand what our commitment is as a board. We have 3 factors that we work on. First, we take care of the fiduciary responsibility. Second, we build policy and develop it. And third, we hire and manage the CEO. That is the board's responsibility. And as I look forward to having the opportunity to work here, those are the factors that are going to channel my thoughts and my decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Moving on to you, Ronnie. Would you like me to read it again? Or?
No, that's fine. Ultimately, it boils down to which decision's in front of us. If it's a child that's sitting in front of us, if I'm allowed to sit there as a trustee for this portion of time, it ultimately boils down to if it's a child sitting in front of us, what is best for that child? Has he put himself or herself in a situation that they don't deserve to be at the high school anymore or the junior high anymore? Or if we as a board make a decision to not allow them to be there anymore, how much greater effect is it going to have on their lives as far as the children? As far as policy, again, it has to be a thought out process with going about the right way, finding the right people, and getting a voice of opinion from people that are outside of our community even, that have been through this, that have gone through growing pains like this, that have had to change the infrastructure like we're facing. And there's several. I've seen it. And so as a board, if we diligently look for that, I believe the solution can be met, both a financial solution as well as a community solution that allows everybody to be on board so that we don't have bipartisanship, so that we don't have people that are clamoring, as Terry has said, because things aren't going right. And that in doing so, again, we have complete transparency to the community. that they know where their tax dollars are going. And then it's done right and done right the first time. And I think you can have great success with doing that. I really do. And I think it'll make a strong community. And ultimately, I think as a board, that's what we all want, is a strong community. We want more of what Mr. Kimball is saying, of the names of those doctors and lawyers and any other people that come out of this community. We want them to shine. We want business owners to be recognized within our community. And that all stems from getting a good education here, providing facilities that provide that good education. And again, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions, and there's going to be a lot of factors that come into play in making those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Mike, same question.
As if I were given the opportunity to be a trustee as a board, first and foremost would be the facts surrounding the decision that needed to be made. They need to be evaluated properly and weighed out. Two, I would base this decision on the laws of the state of Idaho and the district policy and how that decision is going to be either affect or how it's going to fit into it. And then three would be how the decision will affect our children, whether that be something new coming up, it's how it's going to affect our children. And then obviously the most important is how it'll affect our teaching staff and help them perform, how it's going to affect them perform their daily duties.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nikki, same question for you. What are the factors on which you will base your decisions as a school board member?
I think first off, I would ask myself, is it legal? Does it sound like it's legal? And then look up, if you're not sure, you don't want to sign anything or do anything that's not. Doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to me? Is this the, common sense factor? Some people are book smart, some people are not common sense smart. So I would try to use that. And if the question or issue at hand has been explained to me to what I understand. If I don't understand the question, you need more clarity. You need to find out, and you're probably not the only one questioning it. So I think I would focus on that, find out what it will affect the decision, and choose with my common sense the best decision.
Thank you.
Okay, back to me. And we start with Terry. That way.
You
We're gonna go back to Ronnie.
Yeah.
Okay, and number 5. All right, what do you view as the role of a superintendent? What do you see as the relationship between the school board and the superintendent?
I view my superintendent as somebody that knows way more about math than I do. And I put trust in him to know when and where we need to spend those dollars. Now, as a member of this community, I've not felt that that has always been the case, even previous to you, Mr. Russia. So that's how I view the superintendent. As somebody that has an understanding of where our dollar needs to go and what best serves the community from an educational standpoint. He knows the law. He is informed of it. He knows what we can and can't do. That leads into the board. The board has to work in harmony with our superintendent, vice versa, to be able to make correct decisions on where that dollar goes. And if we're fighting with each other, then we're not going to come to a right conclusion. I believe that harmony can be met. I believe that as trustees of the board and as a superintendent, that the correlation. There can be a happy medium met on all questions that arise, whether it's facilities or further curriculum, or, as I said before, a child standing in front of us, or any countless other number of things. I think that can be met in harmony. But again, there has to be complete transparency between the board and the superintendent at all times for the community. And if that happens, good things can come. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Kimball,
Okay.
same question.
Well, the role of the superintendent, first, ensuring that he or she is managing the district to give our children the best education possible, which ultimately makes he or she the CEO of the district, if you want to use that term. I believe his second goal would be to make sure the district is maintaining in the black, never in the red, keeping us financially sound, managing all of our facilities, managing our employees, and again, ensuring the education of our children is the best possible. The board, I believe it's the board's job to govern the district and ensure the policies and laws are being followed. Keep the district and the schools headed in the way the community would be supportive of. And then ensuring that as we make changes, make views, that it ultimately is going to enhance our children's education.
Thank you. Ms. Smith,
I believe the superintendent is paid for his knowledge and his experience. He puts his top effort into trying to make the Emmett School District and surrounding, the best he can with what he can work with. And I believe that working in sync with the trustees, the board, makes things a lot easier when everybody can get along, and benefits our school districts and a lot of everything in sync.
okay, Mr. Jones,
Chair. The role of the superintendent is to manage the nuts and bolts of the district at the behest of the board. The board has, like I said, 3 responsibilities. Fiduciary, that's where the superintendent maintains the books, makes sure that the budget is in order and it's balanced, and when there's issues, he brings it to the board. Then you have policy development. The school board is, I'm sure, athwart with much, as I've seen over the last year coming to the meetings, that there's big issues with policy. And it behooves the board to set the policy so that the superintendent can fulfill his duty in implementing that policy. And then, of course, the final duty of the board member is the oversight of the superintendent. It is their responsibility to evaluate him on an annual basis and make sure that he understands what his position is in the district, and if he has issues, he can correct them and move forward. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Let's start back with Mike Kimball.
I get to do that.
Yep,
Mr. Kimball,
Yes, sir.
how will you build consensus and support in the community around the work of the school district, including enlisting support for bond issues or public school spending from conservative voters or taxpayers with no children in the public schools?
So, Trustee Hamilton, I'd like to start with support of the community around the work of the school district. If chosen to be a trustee, I would build that by ensuring the trust, and trust is earned, and showing the community that I am a man of integrity. If I give somebody my word, it's gold. And with that, I would earn the teaching staff support and show them the support needed, and so that they can continue to do their job well. And that'll lead into ensuring community support is if our staff's trusting us and showing that we're moving in a positive direction. Moving on to the support of the bond, for me to speak on that, I would have to first, essentially support the bond, which I believe we can get there, and then go out in the community and do that politicianing to get people to vote and convince them in the right ways. And the ways I believe I can do that is when we get to that point, we can ensure that the numbers that we come up with, if we choose to go down and grow to a new school, is having accurate numbers, is from using my background in construction to help figuring out what the actual square footage cost of a new building is going to be and how we're going to go about that. And getting that support before we vote on a bond is listening to the community of what they're wanting. And then as we build that bond and get it ready to put on a ballot, it ultimately will help get more community involvement before we put it on that bond. Conservative voters is just tackling that with the taxes, ensuring that we're not going to raise their taxes and hurt people that aren't high income folks, which we do have a lot, and work hard for their money. So as well as I do, as all of you do as well, is just making sure that we're not raising those taxes to a point of an unfair amount. And then the taxpayers with no children, that's a tough one, but I think it can be overcome by speaking with them and showing that our community's got to grow and talking with them. And I believe that can be overcame just by talking with our advancements in our community and getting their support.
Thank you. Nicole Metz, how will you build consensus and support in the community around the work of the school district, including enlisting support for bond issues or public school spending from conservative voters or taxpayers with no children in public schools?
A lot of people, if they don't have kids in the public schools, they're probably not going to pay attention. You could put flyers, brochures, you can put stuff on the news. If you were a parent and you chose to take your child out of the public school system, there's probably a reason. Either A, your child needs more attention one-on-one, or B, you don't feel like your child's meant to be in the school system. You might have issues with other kids. So it's kind of a tough one. I would say just trying to explain the benefits of the bonds and levies to the public as best you can. And brochures, flyers, public speaking, shaking on. But and being honest, ask them, say, we need help. Our school system needs help. Would you be willing to get so many signatures? If we could get so many signatures to try and benefit this program or something like that. Ideas.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, same question.
Madam Chairman, Trustee Hamilton. First of all, I would want the community to know that I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent, I'm a exchange parent, and I'm also a taxpayer. And what affects me is going to affect him. We've got a host of tools that we can use to communicate with the community. I find that from Rotary and many other organizations I work with, whether it's the social media, Facebook, things like that, internet, what have you. But I feel most certain that, first of all, we have to build a program, a concept of a facility that we could take to the community and sell. Something that, whatever it costs, you can pick a figure, big, small, but it has to bring value to the community. And we have to be able to align that value with the community. I've heard others talk, well, I don't have kids in school anymore. I do. I'm fortunate. I've got grandkids. But most of them have grandkids, or they have great grandkids. And what's the purpose of educating those kids? I think one of the most important purposes I have is letting the kids stay at home, stay in the state of Idaho, make a living right here at home, giving those skill sets. And you can't do that with facilities like we have today. And being able to tour through the facilities committee around this area, we can't hold a candle to the other districts out there and the facilities they have and the opportunities they bring to the children. And that, to me, is what needs to be communicated to our community. I'm impressed. Warhawk over there at Ridgeview, the theme of Warhawk has been ingrained in every kid in that school. And they want to be the top gun. They're enthusiastic. And I want to bring that concept right down to the ground level here in our community. And I think we can do it. Thank you.
Apologize for that. How about that turned off? Anyway, Ronnie, Mr. Weeks, the same question for you.
Well, when I was approached to submit my name for the open chair as a trustee, my first initial thought was to go. I had listened to the members of the community before I was ever asked to list my name. My first initial thought was to go to the junior high and ask the teachers questions. And so that's what I did. So you have to gain support in your community by listening to those that are not teaching, as well as those that are sitting at that seat trying to teach your children. And then find that happy medium. And until that happens, we're going to be at a standstill for a long time. And then listening, and I think the support would be there as a board if we do that. I think if we listen to the teachers and we listen to the community, that can happen. And that will create great support. As far as being one of those conservative taxpayers that sit outside the city limits, I have never, ever, since I've been old enough to vote, voted no against a levy or a bond in Jim County pertaining to the school until this year. And I believe that those conservative taxpayers out there are tired of putting Band-Aids on. I also believe that those conservative taxpayers, if done the right way, will be on board with building new infrastructure. But it has to be done the right way. And I think you can gain a lot of support. And I also think it can be done without some of those conservative taxpayers on board. And we have to make it about the children. It has to be about the betterment of the children and their future and what's in front of them. And again, I don't have any children. I got 4 years left and my last kid's gone. So after that, I have no ties other than I have friends that have children here, and I want the same for them as I did for my own children. I want what's best for them. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to just address a question to each of them, because it's kind of been answered, but maybe not completely. I'd like to know if you have a close family member who is a employee of the district. I'm talking about mother, father, brother, sister.
My mother works in the school district as well as an uncle is a teacher. My mother is she works at the junior high as a lunch lady. I don't know the exact technical term of it anymore. Lunch lady. So I apologize to her if I'm not correct. I'm sure there's some politically correct term nowadays. My uncle Mark is a teacher.
What school is
Junior high.
junior high also?
He's a I believe 7th and 8th grade science teacher, as well as the athletic director at the junior high under Mr. Blanker.
To answer Trustee Hamilton's question, yes, my mother works for the district, Debbie Kimball. I don't know her title. Mr. Rush, would you, I don't know what her title is, so.
She's the secretary.
Administrative assistant, I think, but I don't think.
Yeah,
Which school?
what she said, she's at the
Sped.
district office.
Special education.
Nicole.
Medicaid funding.
I have my brother-in-law, Aaron Metz, and Heidi Metz, his wife, bus shop, and Heidi is a bus driver.
Mr. Jones?
I have no ties with the school district at all.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, sorry. If I could just follow up with you, Mr. Weeks, you said that you kind of hit the ground with the teachers at the junior high. Could you enlighten us on what you were looking for or what kind of questions you were asking? I mean, if you don't feel comfortable, that's okay too. You can plead the fifth.
No, I won't plead the fifth. I'll be honest with you. So I felt as of recently that we've been at a pretty big stalemate, both as the board and the superintendent. As a community member with children in this school district, I felt like I've been asked to spend money on the same thing a few times, and that's made me frustrated. Anybody knowing me, you would have thought that when I submitted my name, it would have all been about the sports in this school district, and that's not what it's about. But I was a bit put off with the changes in the fact that we didn't have anybody represent our school district when the 5A schools were doing whatever they wanted and getting whatever they wanted, and we didn't even have a voice there to voice an opinion. I was not happy with that at all. And I've told everybody, nobody likes opening up in a community newspaper or the Statesman's for that matter and seeing that your school gets beat 56-0 on a regular basis or lose 30 points on a regular basis. That doesn't build character in the community very well. We talked about that. I asked how their relationships were with Mr. Rush. And they all said that they weren't sure. And so I can't answer beyond that. You can read into that however you want, but I can't put words in your mouth. I didn't ask any of them to throw Mr. Rush under the bus. I didn't ask any of them to throw any of you under the bus. We talked about infrastructure. And I have been a firm believer that we do not need to buy ground because you're simply not going to get a high school built right now. And that's what the community wants, the bigger majority of them. It's not going to happen because of those outlying taxpayers. But I also have talked to the outlying taxpayers, and we don't have to buy ground to build a new junior high. I spent a little over a year hauling product into Oregon to 2 beautiful junior highs that were being built, and they were built right around the existing junior high. So from from the fiscal standpoint, we can do the same here. We can enlist the knowledge, we can call, we can, I understand we got to do things a little different because that was in the state of Oregon, and I don't need us to be broke like the state of Oregon. That's the truthfulness of the matter. So there has to be a lot of questions. I asked all these questions to them. They're worried about the facilities they work in. I think they are feeling like the board is maybe scrutinizing a little too hard right at the moment, but I don't know that that's undue. So I didn't reply when I talked to them. That's why there has to be an open book policy at all times for this to work, for us to get out of this stalemate. Does that answer any questions?
Yeah, thank you for your candidness. And if I could ask one last thing, I didn't hear, as far as the children, they're of the utmost concern. Would you as interviewees agree with the fact that improved or new facilities help with the overall economic development of our community as far as fostering a more positive outlook and potentially bringing in additional economy to our community?
I can answer that real simply, and it's a big yes. You go over to Ridgeview, and I asked that very same question about the principal over there. He says that it has enhanced the evaluation of the community around the school. And they're running a high rate of graduation, I think 85, 88%, whatever that is. And it has virtually zero staff turnover because of unhappiness with the facility, so.
If anyone else would like to speak to that, go ahead, Nick.
I believe yes. Right now we've got, was it last year, there was how many, 4 or 5 fifth grade classes just at Shadowview alone. We're only expanding as it is. So definitely another building, and more teachers can come in and give our kids more one-on-one. It's going to benefit them and the community as a whole.
Trustee Jenkins, to answer your question, yes, I believe it absolutely can, but I think it has to be done responsibly. We can't go build the Taj Mahal, but I believe we have the opportunity right now to capitalize on what we have and develop in the right ways, and with that will come the growth.
Thank you.
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
Definitely. We need to expound. It definitely will increase the community and the school.
That's all.
Yeah, Chairman Harris and candidates, I had a question because Emmett is just not about the schools in the city of Emmett. We do have some schools that are outlying. What is your, and I'll let you each answer this question, what do you feel should be done with our outlying schools? How should we support the communities in Sweet Dola and Montour? Terry?
Go ahead.
Trustee Teeter. I've had the unique opportunity of sitting on the facilities committee, and we've toured all of those schools. But I think what's more important is the community that is served by these schools. You take Ola, for instance, that's over a 100-year facility. It's tired. I think the administration has a real quandary is figuring how to manage that asset there. The community wants the school there. And I think we have to feel the heartbeat of the community. And if it's putting in a modular facility, so be it. But I think that school needs to sit there. You take Sweet, the community uses that building. That's like the community center in that area. So I see that, that's going to have to be maintained and utilized for their services as much as it is for education. You take out in my community, Shadowview. I think that was one of the best decisions this board's made, is the 2 elementary schools we built, Shadowview and Carberry. They're new, they're strong, they invite participation by the staff, the communities involved with them. And I feel that's an integral part of our community. And when the decisions comes from the facilities committee down the road, not during the future, I think we need to listen to them, because that's basically the heartbeat of the community. Those people are the ones that are getting out and knocking their heads around and talking to the people on the ground. I think they can come up with some pretty good ideas, and that's half the battle. You're halfway there when you got the community behind you on what you want to do with these facilities. And this isn't just building a one new facility or upgrading a facility. We've got to do work with a lot of the facilities. So, thank you.
Nikki?
The evaluation sheets that were mentioned the last meeting, I think the 1 through 10s, go around, evaluate them, figure out what is number one out of this place, what's number one out of this place, and work your way down the list. I think it is just as important to maintain all the outer schools as it is the inner ones.
Trustee Peter, as I emailed the board earlier on, the small community up in Ola is sweet. That's north of there was where my family originally homesteaded up in Ross, Idaho, and north of there. So deep ties, and I utterly support it. And I love that the fact that kids still, I'm probably willing to bet that we're the only one that has a one-room school left anymore. But is there two?
Yes.
Okay. I guess I didn't take that bet, I guess. And I support them and support the Sweet Montour School, excuse me. And as I believe Mr. Jones said, is putting up a modular unit is needed. And for long-term and as a business sense, as long as it makes financial sense to continue to house those kids at that Ola school, then we as a community or board of trustees should maintain that. That is my biggest thing. And Sweet Montour School is keeping it up, maintained, and moving forward is going to be great in the future. What I have to say.
I just have a follow-up on that. We talk about facilities, but do we talk about the children? Are we going to be moving kids from Ola and make them being transported to this different facilities? It's a tough decision. I know we've wrestled with it last year. We'll wrestle with it probably continually every year that we're here. What's best for them? Not only the community or the 100-year-old building. I didn't let you answer, Ronnie. I'm sorry.
It's a tough quandary. I got a lot of close ties with family members in Ola that I deal with, and they want the school there as well as in Sweet, and they love it. But it's almost getting to a point financially that it's not going to work, and it's a tough thing. And I hadn't really, I'm glad Terry brought that up. I hadn't really thought about a modular. I didn't know if that would meet code as far as a teaching facility. It does. But it's a tough thing. And you have to think of the children in all aspects. They all end up down here eventually, no matter what. So at the benefit of the school district right now, increasingly every year, it's less and less efficient to have them. But with that being said, I look at it and I look at Sweet and look how Sweet is growing. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. And I think there'll be a lot of growth up there. And so it's a tough question. I don't know exactly how to answer that.
I'd just like to add a thought. In your mission statement, your vision statement, you've got a belief statement. And somebody's done some, I think, real good thinking. It says, we believe that students learn best in a safe, we haven't talked much about a safe and a secure environment. Positive, comfortable, orderly, and creative and reflective environment. And I think if we read these and adhere to them, I think our decision-making path will be Correct.
I do have a question. How have you supported Jim and Boise County students in the past? Have you been on any boards or any community involvement? So I'll start with Ronnie.
Yes, I've had a lot of community involvement, mostly through sports. I started with my daughter when she was in the 3rd grade. And they had a really good bunch of athletes. And so I started with them, and then it's just trickled down to, way back up. I actually started before that with a baseball team here in the community that was a couple years older than my daughter. And I started with my daughter, and I've been the better part of 15 years coaching athletes here in this town. And still to this day, I do it. As soon as the head basketball coach gets done with the boys here at the end of the month, I'll take them and I'll take the varsity boys and we'll keep playing. So I'm still actively involved with the members. And I've helped coach the junior high, fortunately, and I've been able to help coach basketball, and I've been able to help coach softball when they couldn't get coaches at the high school.
So my wife, she